Like I want to stress like to keep going, like because I've been there. Like I've been where you at. I've been unsure. I've been like it wasn't always like you had to book an appointment a few weeks out. Like I would come into work and not make any money and not know if this was a job for me. So I just want to stress to keep going, stay at it. One of her biggest things was my hair. So it was like you're gonna be in the barbershop every other week. You're gonna get your hair cut whether you like it or not, because she was just setting standards for me. And it was just come to work, show up, do your job, and go home. And which I still loved it, but it was I just didn't know where I go from there. Because like I said, I'm the type of person I need a target to shoot at, and I reached a point in my life where I wasn't shooting at nothing. Once you sacrifice and once you put the work in, chances are it's gonna happen. I feel like that with everything. If you're a basketball player, if you throw up 500,000 shots a day, eventually that ball's gonna start going in. So that was the first obstacle, learning one, how I'm gonna make it happen and commit to making it happen. I wanna be known and remembered for affecting somebody positively. What's going on? My name is Justin. A lot of people in the industry know me as Fexx. I'm a barber here at Wealth Barbershop in Rancho Cucamonga. My role in the shop, I'm a booth renter here. I guess now, since I'm older, I'm the resident old head. Just kind of, I guess, known for the good natural haircuts, natural styling, sharp lines, things like that. Well, on Instagram, Fexx Appeal, that's FEXX_appeal. And I'm not on all the socials. I'm not on Instagram, on TikTok, all that good stuff. Shop-wise, it's Wealth Barbershop, and that's in Rancho Cucamonga. The address is 9660 Haven Avenue. We're here 7 days a week now. You can book with me. I'm online on Booksy. All my services there, self-booking. You can book any time of the day you need. You don't need to text me 3 in the morning. You can hop on the app and make an appointment. I say service I offer is anything barber related. So any barber service, I can do it. Fades to permanent, semi-permanent hair dyes, for the beard, for the head, hot towel shaves. A lot of people say, and I didn't know this, but like with the beards, like big natural beards with the sharp lines, a lot of people say they come to me for that. Clean, precise, fades. I think a lot of people have told me, like my longtime clients have said just the fact that I'm consistent. So I guess consistency is one of the things. And I think that would just be when you sit down, you know what you're gonna get. Like you sit down, it's not gonna be a surprise the following week. Like, yo, like you gave me a good haircut last week, but what's up with today? So consistency, being sharp and precise. I take my time. I think I'm known for that. So I think anything natural, because like I said, I could do pretty much everything, but yeah, I think the fades, the blends, and sharp lines is pretty much what I might be known for. I don't know what they saying out there, but but those are some things I heard though. Yeah. Right. Like I didn't know the thing with the beards, but I have multiple people like, I come to you because you get my beard right. I'm like, okay, but I hear it so many times. I'm like, oh, I might be one of the things I'm known for. Well, I mean, I can go back, I guess, as far as being a kid. So I was raised by a single mom, and it was me. I have a little sister, and one of the things my mom wanted to make sure of is that her kids were taken care of. Her kids looked a certain way. Her kids, like, we had a standard, the way we wore our clothes, the way our hygiene, everything. So one of her biggest things was my hair. So it was like, you're gonna be in the barbershop every other week. You're gonna get your hair cut whether you like it or not, because she was just setting standards for me. So in being forced to get haircuts and be in a barbershop, I started to love it. So the routine was every Saturday you wake up, or not every, we was going every other week. So every other Saturday you wake up, you in the barbershop, and now I'm sitting there, I'm looking around, I'm seeing like all walks of life. Like our shop in the neighborhood was like the epicenter of the neighborhood. So all walks of life came through. Like we had what you would consider maybe a negative, we had the positive, we had the blue collars, everybody came through there. So as I sat in the shop, I just started to fall in love with the interaction with the barber. With like the barbers seemed like they was the coolest dudes in the neighborhood. It seemed like they had the latest whatever, whether it's car, clothes, shoes, whatever. And so I started to recognize that. And I'm like, I think I want to be one of these dudes. And I didn't know I wanted to be a barber, but I knew I wanted to be, yeah, by these dudes. And just the more of years passed, I made it part of my plan. I told my mom that. I was like, you know what, I want to be a barber. I'm gonna own barbershops, and I want to be one of these dudes. And she's like, okay. So fast forward a little bit, high school, you know, high school is kind of an environment. They teach you to be a worker. They teach you to work for somebody. And so they preach college, which I have nothing against college, but it's not for everybody. So anyway, I started that route, the college route. I just started at a JC. And in that JC, when it became time to pick a career or a major, I found myself just looking to see what makes the most money. Like, okay, well, being in advertising and marketing, how much money can I make instead of what I love? And so I think I got to the second year and it was time, okay, you're gonna transfer, you're gonna graduate, get this AA, what you're gonna do? And I just wasn't happy, and I couldn't figure out if transferring was for me, and if I stopped here with this AA, what's it gonna do for me? And so I remembered this. I remembered the barbershop. And I remember I sat my mom down. I'm like, I think I'm done with school. And I expected like some kickback, like some nah, you're gonna get this diploma. But she was like, well, what do you wanna do? I said, well, I'm gonna be a barber. I'm gonna jump in barber school. And she's like, well, yeah, you always said that's what you're gonna do. So with her. At this time, I had to be maybe 19. Yeah, no, I was 20. I was 20 actually. And she said, yeah, this is what you said you're gonna do. And so she supported me. So I left school, jumped in barber school, just went the traditional route. Well, I say one of the biggest obstacles just off bat was barber school at that time was 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. So me being a 20-year-old, had my first apartment. I think I had a car note at the time. And I'm like, well, this is what I want to do, but how am I going to be here 8 hours a day and then support myself outside of here? So that was the first obstacle, learning, one, how I'm going to make it happen, and commit to making it happen. So that would be the first. And then secondly, I think once you're in there and you there that 8 hours a day, being okay with not making money. And like I said, that was a huge obstacle. Like I had times when I'm like, maybe this ain't for me. Like, cause I got bills to pay. I think I want to do this, but like I don't know. I don't have no barbers in my family, so it was hard. I guess the biggest obstacle would be finding that will to make that happen, I guess. And I tell a lot of people are surprised by this, but I learned to cut. Like I wasn't cutting before barber school. And I know most barbers are like, oh, I've been cutting since I was a kid. Like, nah, but anything past like lining myself up, I wasn't doing. But so I jumped in barber school, I learned how to cut. And in barber school, I don't want to say I learned to cut. I learned barber techniques. I learned how to pass the state board test and receive my license, but hands-on cutting I didn't have. So I did that, I completed barber school. That took me about 9 months. Jumped in the shop, and I say that's when I learned how to cut hair, because I had somebody in that shop who I guess was a mentor somewhat. He would actually take my hand and show me like, move your hand up and down this way. This is how you cut. Like, why are you standing on this side? Stand on this side. Use your mirror. Yeah, that's when I learned how to cut. So yeah, from there, I spent time in that shop. I was there, I want to say I was there maybe 10 years. That first shop that I started in, yeah. And then went from just being a barber in that shop to managing that shop. He left to open other shops, so I was running that shop. And just unfortunate things happened, so we had to close it. And then from there, I went to one other shop in Highland, and from Highland to here in Rancho. I kind of reached the point mentally where I was like, okay, what's next? Like, is this what like being a barber is? Like, this is it for the rest of my life?
What made
Just that every day I felt like was kind of started to be the same thing. So I reached a point where my days were kind of booked out a few days out, and it was just come to work, show up, do your job, and go home. And which I still loved it, but I just didn't know where I go from there. Cause like I said, I'm the type of person I need a target to shoot at, and I reached a point in my life where I wasn't shooting at nothing. So, in that time, a crazy story is mentally I'm there figuring out where I go next or how I reached the ceiling and what happens now. We were sitting and we were watching the movie Black Panther. And at the end, I don't know, superhero movies, everybody wait around to see what happened at the end of the credits. So we waiting around and I see a line go across the screen that says lead barber. And so at this point in my life where I'm like, where do I go from here? I see that line go across the screen. And I was like, lead barber? Like, yeah. And I'm like, hold on. So I remembered the dude's name and I looked him up on Instagram at the time. And I looked him up on Instagram, I pulled him up, and at that time he had like maybe a few hundred followers. So I was like, oh, he's gonna get my message. I sent the message to him and he's like, he wasn't very helpful, but he gave me the name of what I know now was a union, which is a union for hair and makeup in the entertainment industry. And he sends me the name and I'm like, well, what is this? I have no idea what this is. No reply. And so I'm like, yeah, so I think he figured like, I've done enough. So right, so I Googled that and I'm like, oh, okay. So I thank him. He no reply to that either, but I reached out to this union, which is in LA. And I'm like, how do I get in? I'm a barber. I've been cutting hair now at the time. I think it was maybe like 11 years at the time. And they're like, well, we don't hire barbers. Or we don't represent barbers. I'm like, I read in the credits, it says lead barber. But anyway, so I figure out that you have to have a cosmetology license. So in my original time in barber school, just gives you a barber license, nothing more. I needed a cosmetology license now. Yeah, right. Well, you're never gonna use it if you're working as a barber, but that was just, you needed it to be in this union to work film and TV. So I throw around the phrase a lot, where there's a will, there's a way. So I didn't know how I was gonna do it, but I found a school, I signed up and was starting the next week or something like that. And so I was tired, and at this point I'm working in the shop full time, 5 days a week. I'm working, I just got a job at Fox Studios in LA doing one of the shows there, and now I'm doing that 3 days a week. So I'm like, how am I gonna go to school? So, yeah, but anyway, I signed up, I went, got the cosmetology license shortly after, maybe 6 months later, was able to get in this union, and now I've been doing film, TV, and doing all that since. And that was the jump, I guess, from Highland. And so that's what they mean when they don't say we don't hire a barber. You can work as a barber, but you're considered a hairstylist. So being in this point in the shop in Highland where I reached my ceiling, now I have a target now. So now I have this target to shoot at. Well, okay, so I just have to get a cosmetology license and jump through whatever hoops they're gonna make me to jump through. And now I could possibly take this career somewhere else. So from Highland, I start cold calling and DMing people that's, I'm looking at the credits in movies and TV shows. Anybody that say hair, I'm DMing them, and I'm remembering their name. They give me a little insight. This is how I got in the union. This is how I got in the union. This is what I did. So I took a little bit of all that info and created my own path, like I said, and gave myself that target. So I worked the first job on set, and that first commercial, it was an Amazon ad. And this was, what year was this? 2012, 2013 or something like that. I guess I feel like I'm jumping around a lot, but okay, yeah. But yeah, in Highland, another unfortunate situation happened to where the owner of that shop, who wasn't in the hair industry. He just saw a business to open, so he opened a business. So he didn't understand specific needs, specific wants of barbers and hairstylists. So we ended up closing that one down, and that's when I kind of moved to Rancho. So I found a shop to work in Rancho. The shop in Rancho I first went to was up the street from here. Just wasn't me, and I'm like, I don't know if the shop's for me anymore. I wasn't knowing because I had the stuff like with the film and TV going, and then that's when I came across Vic, and that's when I came across Wealth, man. Wealth Barbershop was created by Vic. A lot of people know him as Fexx the Barber. He opened this shop going on 7 years ago now. And he has a whole mantra about we all can triumph, and that's part of the reason he named the shop Wealth. And his goal is to bring a bunch of like-minded people together and build together and create an environment of bosses, so to say. And I moved out this way to Rancho Cucamonga, and I kind of was looking for a place to work. And I didn't know Vic personally, but I knew of him. And a lot of people were like pointing me his direction. And so I started to look him up, and I started to see the environment he was creating, the environment he was building, which a lot of the imagery, a lot of the style it aligned up with me and the things I'm into and the things that I wanted to grow and things like that. So I reached out to him, I stepped in, and we kind of been building ever since. It's been about 6 years since I've been here now. And what I like most about Wealth is it's a welcoming place. It's a welcoming environment for customers and stylists and barbers. Like I said, he wants to create an environment of bosses, so he wants you to come in and he wants to help you grow. And that's something that I gravitated to because I worked in a few different shops and they were completely all different, but not really me. So I wasn't really comfortable. And once we sat down, like the first thing he did was give me we sat down and had lunch. We had a meeting, and any shop I've ever been into before that was, you got money to pay booth rent? Come get a space. They don't even care about who I am. But we sat down, we talked. He wanted to see who I am and my goals. He actually asked me what was my goals in this industry. And that just goes back to the environment he's trying to build. And so with that being said, I interviewed, and like I said, we just aligned with our goals. And so I stepped in, I've been here ever since. And like I said, it's a welcoming environment. You're gonna walk through the door, you're gonna get greeted before anybody knows why you're here. Like you could be trying to solicit, but you're gonna get greeted. And I like that. I like that he's a real, it sounds crazy, but a real person. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's not too big or somebody's not too small for him to say hi to. And that's kind of the environment that's here at Wealth. Like we come together.
So you were saying basically like, people should pay more attention to that.
Yeah.
What does that lead to? Like, what does that lead to as far as, like you said, if it's showing your work, but why is that important for those type of things to not show up in your work as far as what you do?
I feel like that because one, your attitude reflects you and your work reflects you as well. So you always want to put your best foot forward. So if you're somewhere you're not comfortable, you're somewhere you're not happy, and it's showing up in your work, then you're not putting your best foot forward, and people outside are billboards for you. And if they're not happy, or if they're walking around with bad haircuts, you ain't in a good mood, like you're ruining your business, so to say. You're ruining your brand. So that's why I think it's important to pay attention to where you're working and if your brands align, meaning you as a barber, are you comfortable here? Does the shop owner, does his thoughts, does his feelings, does his ideas align with yours? And in that way, you guys can kind of move forward together. So I think it's very important. And like I said, where I was at was a nice shop, beautiful shop, busy shop, but just not aligned with me. We weren't going in the same directions. And I found myself when he's like, all right, everybody wear button-ups today. And I'm kind of dreading going to work now.
Right,
and then now if I'm somewhere I'm dreading to be, like, it's going to show. So
is there like, because that's good for new barbers and people coming, stepping into the industry.
Yeah.
That's a good word for them because So be on the lookout for that, not just walking in the shop.
Right.
You know what I mean? And think this is my home
Right.
now. Like,
And yeah, and then it's funny because where I was at, I would see a lot of turnover, right? Because I think it would be new barbers who saw like shiny lights are like, dang, this spot is nice. Like I want to work here. But then they get there and they're kind of like, and so yeah, so they end up leaving. So you got to pay attention to those type of things.
that's big. That's big.
Yeah.
That's a good one actually. So, do you know? I guess you kind of touched on that about the salon, the shop starting.
Mm-hmm.
What is your mission?
Hmm.
What is your what do you see with your life and this career path you've chosen?
Mm-hmm. So that's a good one. So mission wise, wow, I think I just want to. Of course, I want to grow, but mission wise, I want to like touch somebody's life in the sense of maybe I plant a seed in somebody's head that might spark some type of growth to make them pursue a career maybe they thought they couldn't pursue. Or I've always just wanted to affect people in a way, which is another reason I'm a barber. I want to affect people's attitudes, meaning you could be down, but I give you a haircut that may make you smile. It may not change what's going on in your life, but it'll pick up your attitude. So I guess mission-wise, I just want to affect people. So I want to affect somebody positively, help support a young client that's trying to reach a goal, or yeah, anything like that. I guess. Yeah.
That's good. And do you feel like you're in position to do that as far as like the relationships you build with your clients, or is it a haircut and go, or is it business, or is it like are you building real relationships with your clients? Like,
Yeah, I think that's one of my strong points is building real relationships. Like I have clients that I cut to this day that maybe I cut when they were sitting on booster seats, but now they're grown and they got kids, and now I'm cutting their sons. So I feel like, yeah, that's definitely something I do. And I've had people tell me, like, one dude kind of opened my eyes to it years ago with telling me, you know, you've been a part of every major event in my life. And like, I'm like, what you mean? He's like proms, job interviews, weddings, job, like just everything. And like, I had to think about that. And I thought that was kind of heavy. And so in doing that, I feel like, yeah, I'm definitely building real relationships. And I think about that sometimes. I'm like, am I still cutting this person's hair because they like to cut, or I'm just like family at this point? Like, let me go see Uncle Justin. Like, you know what I mean?
No, that's real. I hear that. Like again, you guys, barbers and hairstylists are so similar. Right?
Yeah.
Same thing. I've heard people that've been doing their hair since they were kids.
Right.
So that's big. And people don't realize, now that you said that, like you can cut my hair for every important moment.
Right. It's crazy. And like now, and I don't take that for granted either. Yeah. And I try to stress that barbers shouldn't take this for granted, because that's key. Like I think we hold the key to people's attitudes, to maybe if they get that job or not. Like if they come sit down and they get a bad haircut, they probably gonna interview bad. Like so, right.
No, that's big. And
yeah.
To speak on that, how do you first establish that? How do you get comfortable with a client enough to engage in your conversation,
right.
personal, how do you know where to go with each client? Is it like a field thing? Is it like, are you the same way with each client?
And that's always a field thing. So I'll start with like kids. So it's almost like a little joke in the shop that they're like, what you be doing to these kids? Like these kids come and sit in your chair, they turn into different people. Because when they come in, they sit down, I kind of feel them out. Like, does this kid talk? Does this kid interact with grown men? Because what I realize in doing this, there are a lot of kids who don't have positive conversations with male adults. And so, like, I fill them out. I could tell if he's a little shy. I could tell if they like talk. So maybe the first time I cut their hair, we don't talk. Maybe I let him be quiet. If he comes back, I talk to him, ask him how his day went. And sometimes I can tell the kids that don't really get those type of questions from positive male figures because it's like they're like, what? Like, what you mean? How's my day? Yeah, like it's cool, I guess. Like, and then from there, I know what it is since I've been doing it so long. So I go from that to maybe another question, like, okay, what sport? Do you play sports? And we start to talk. Basically, like, just see where they are and talk to them like people instead of the authority figure. Like, I'm not here to tell you something to do so you can drop the guard with me. And I think once they drop that guard, it's kind of when I get the real them. They start to come in. Like I got one client, he always laughs at. He went from the quiet kid, didn't say nothing. Did he come in? He say what's up to everybody, shake everybody's hand, come in with some sunglasses one day, and that's what I take pride in. I take pride in building young, confident men. And I guess building maybe is too strong of a word because I'm not with them every day, but I help build, I guess, because I put positive, I try to put positive, like reinforcing things in them and let them know, like, nah, you could do that, or nah, why you feel that way? Like, we could do better. Like,
that right there is much needed.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, people don't take that for granted. You know,
Right.
You get to have an impact
Right.
on a child's life.
Right. And that's what too, and like I tell like new barbers especially, like we all struggle with kids sometimes. We get a screaming kid, but the fact that I don't take that for granted is the reason that my schedule and my services will always have a kids section. There will always be a kids price because a lot of people at this point they like I don't cut kids, but me like I always cut kids because of that, because I know some of these kids need positive reinforcement. Some of these kids need a positive male in their life to kind of not school them, but help. Talk. Right. Exactly. I was that kid. And so that's another reason I stress it so much. And that's why I looked at these dudes like, oh, these barbers, they cool, they funny, they laughing, they look a certain way. Like, yeah. And so I want to make sure I'm that for them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, exactly. And that's what,
That's big. What makes you most satisfied? How do you know after you finish somebody's hair or have a conversation? What is the satisfaction that you get out of your work? Is it the style you did? Is it the way it came out? Is it the way the person feels? What brings you the most satisfaction?
Well, first thing I would say, aside from, of course, the style, you want to know you did a good job. So that's the initial, when I hand them the mirror and they got that smile on their face. That's initially, but it's the feeling that I know, and they don't even have to say it, but it's the feeling that I know I kind of did my job in the sense of help affect this person positively. So you could be having a horrible day, but if you stepped in here and you leave with a smile, I feel happy. I feel fulfilled. Like I said, I feel like I affected you positively. And whatever you're going outside to do, or whatever you're facing that's outside them doors, that haircut might not change it, but I think that I was able to affect your attitude. You're going to approach it a little differently. Like I always tell people, if you're having a bad day, and I tell them because this is what I used to do. I'm having a bad day, I'm going to go get a haircut. And I might not need it, maybe I'll get a liner. But I think that's the first step in kind of attacking whatever the issue is. Like you said, you look good, you feel good. You feel good, you're probably going to do good. So, yeah.
So it's a psychological thing.
Right. So that's the fulfillment I get.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. What is, at this point you have 20 years in, what are some of the challenges you face 20 years in now? What are the things you run into now?
The things I run into now. Well, the first I would say is staying sharp.
Okay.
And that's what I mean is 20 years in, I think just as a human, we tend to get comfortable. We tend to, my schedule's full. I know how much money I'm gonna make for the week. So it's kind of hard to stay motivated in a sense. You might be slacking a little bit right here, but it's time to step it up. So I think staying sharp is an issue that I don't want to say I deal with, but it's present, that I try to stay aware of. 20 years in, I guess that goes to motivation, right? So, yes. So staying motivated, yeah. And me just going back to out of pure, and this you can look at this funny maybe, but out of pure competition, right? So competition kind of motivates me in a way to where if I'm cutting hair, I'm like, oh, like, okay, like that's what they doing. Like let me step it up a little bit. So it'll motivate me to stay. That's something that'll motivate me. Just being around talented people, being around good people.
So
Environment definitely motivates me. The just constant want, and sometimes I feel it may be too much, but I feel like I need to constantly be moving up, and not even just career wise, but physically, mentally, financially. I feel like wanting to have more each year, and each month, each week. I think that's a constant motivation for me as well. I feel like the hack I had, the trick I had, which I don't even know if it'll work nowadays, but one with the business cards, right? I know everything is social now, but so what I would do, I would walk around somebody with a nice haircut. I'm talking to you about your haircut, and I would let you know I'm not trying to replace your barber, but if you ever need somebody, I'm here and I'm right up the street. And the biggest thing that worked for me though, and I tell everybody this, is the youth. Like I said, because I came into this game as a young dude that observed, and I know what caught my eye as a young dude. So when I was coming up, I built my clientele with young athletes. So I would hit the high schools, the basketball players, the football players. I'll find out who the best on the team is. I would tell them to come see me at the shop. And like I said, I know what they're looking at. So I would put on whatever latest sneaker there is. I would shine up the car. And at this point, like sound systems was a thing. So I would have my music up, pull up to the school saying what's up to them. And they kind of had like a sense of pride. Like, oh, yeah, that's my homie. He a barber up the street. And so they became like my little street team. And so I would start with cutting the best player on the team. And he would bring in his backup. And then people just got curious. Who's cutting his hair? And so I built myself with a young athlete. And I still cut so to this day too. So that was a trick to how I built my clientele. One, just getting with the popular kids, I guess. And not even just the popular kids. Like I would hit, in Redlands, they would do a market night every Thursday. So I would go to those market nights with these business cards, and then kind of the kids would start to recognize me. Oh, that's Fexx from the barbershop. So, oh, he cut my hair. So that's mainly how I built it up. And so that word of mouth from them and their friends. Then they became different teams and different schools. And so the kids really helped me out. Now in 2025, I would say, I think you need a little mix of the old and the new, right? So I don't think the way I did it will work completely nowadays, especially with social and everything like that. And people have access to a lot more barbers now. So I would say kind of mix that. Still have some business cards in your pocket. Still find out what's going on in the neighborhood you work. Meaning, like same thing I did, like who is the best basketball player at the high school up the street? Find out who it is. Maybe you have to do a little homework. Show up to the games. I used to go to the games. So just get in the community that you're in, whether you live there or not. If you work in Rancho Cucamonga, you should know what's going on in Rancho Cucamonga. So whether you're online and you're searching the hashtag and seeing whatever games and stuff is going on, get involved. So, and be consistent. I learned that too from a young barber who I was kind of teaching the old school way, and he kept saying, nah, I'm cool, I'm not doing that. And so he showed kind of, this was when Instagram first popped off, and he showed me the way he did it. And he built a strong clientele just off of his phone, and I was kind of amazed. And so that's why now I feel like you need a mix, because now you become that triple threat like we was talking about. If you mix the socials and today's game in 2025 with the old hands-on, ground level stuff, I think it's undeniable that you build a strong clientele. And don't be afraid to step out there and touch whatever comes through that door. And like I said, I didn't turn down anything. And so in doing that, I learned to be consistent at it. So I would say be consistent and mix the old school kind of what I would call guerrilla marketing. Yeah, I think you can never lose that. It's not going nowhere. Exactly, exactly. So I think you got to have that nice mix of both. Yep. Yeah, I think nowadays it's probably more important than it's ever been because nowadays I feel like they want to buy into something. So in creating a brand, what you put out, and when I say brand, like what you posting every day on Instagram or whatever social you want, like it's very important because people are watching and potential clients are watching. And if you're posting something they don't want to see every day, chances are they're not going to sit with you and get their haircut. But if you're promoting, and there's a lane for everything, but I guess I'll go back a little bit. So promote what you want. So if you want that certain type of clientele, yeah. So I guess pick a niche, I guess, because there's different niche for everything out here. So your brand is important in whatever niche you pick. So if you picking basketball players, your content every day, your brand should be basketball related. And you should be trying to attract basketball players or people who are into basketball. So brand is very important. And I think you need to be conscious of that. You need to be aware of that what you're putting out. You may not even know you have a brand, but whatever you're putting out in the world is what we're considering your brand. So I'm very conscious of that. And I think it's very important now than ever because I can hop on my phone now and see if I want to follow you, if I want to get my hair cut by you, even if I want to see your content anymore. Yeah, so you got to be very conscious of brand and what you're putting out in the world. Yeah. Well, future goals wise, like where I'm at now, I've been doing this film and TV thing maybe 6 years now. But I feel like I haven't figured it out yet. So goal wise is for me to really figure it out. And when I say figure it out, I mean like in this industry, I feel like I'm not a celebrity or anything like that, but in certain areas, people know who I am in the sense of what I can do with the clippers and the type of service I can provide. In that industry, I feel like I'm a nobody. And so I don't necessarily just want to be known like that, but I feel like I got a lot more to figure out. So yeah, that I guess would be a good like short term, like trying to figure that industry out. And then besides that, helping to create a brand that's somewhat recognizable. Whether you hear my name, whether you hear the nickname people call me, I want you to kind of know what comes with that and like the standard that comes with that. So yeah, I think that would be like long term. In the years I've been in the industry, and so I kind of feel like running the shop so early on in my career kind of messed it up for me in the sense of, yeah, put a bad taste in my mouth as far as business. And so I kind of put it to the back burners. But now where I'm at, I do want to create something, but I have no interest in creating something ordinary. And I mean, I don't want to just get a building and slap barbershop on it and hire some barbers. I have no interest in that, just being that I've been in this game for so long. I want to create something different. I want to innovate something. And I have ideas of what I want to do. And I kind of like I was saying earlier, like I set a target for myself. And that's kind of what I'm shooting at now. So aside from that film and TV stuff, like I want to create and innovate something. Right. And I want it to be something that's a yo, like, how'd you think of that? Like how, because like I said, like as much as I love this game, it has got kind of oversaturated. And so when you see barbershop now, it's not like, oh, damn, it's a barbershop right there. It's just oh, another barbershop. And I have no interest in that. But yeah, I do want to open something, and I do plan on opening something. I don't want to say, well, I am going to open something, and it is going to be something that I don't think this industry has really seen yet. And I don't know if I can talk on it yet, but I do have plans, and I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
It's good to know, like I said.
My work ethic, and a lot of people laugh at this, but like I like nice things, right? so in them early conversations when figuring out what I'm gonna do with my life, it always kind of started with, how can I afford to live here? How can I afford to drive this? How can I afford to wear the, yeah. So when I think of things, it's never like that. It's not for me. It's like if I want, I'm gonna figure out how to get it. So I think it just came from that, wanting to like prosper in materialistically, mentally. So I think that's where it came from. Yeah. So the first advice like I always give people is like how I said I had what I felt were positive males and barbers to look at. I always say find somebody to kind of like watch, like kind of I don't want to say model yourself after, but you can observe. You can see how they move, how they handle themselves in the shop, behind the chair. So that find a positive. I guess it could be a mentor, somebody to mirror. Secondly, I would say stay the course. Like it's gonna be tough, but like we throw around the phrase in here, like keep going, and that just means when it get tough. That means when it's good, don't put your feet up. Just keep moving, keep going, keep pushing forward. And I would say that to the kid that's might be in school and might not know that if it's for them. And then past that, for the up and coming barber, don't try and get no steps. I like to call it paying your dues. Like nowadays, a lot of people want to skip that whole process of the come up, I guess you would say, and they just want to go straight to the bright lights and straight to like I said, I've been in the game all those years before I touched the movie set, and they want to go from school to that. And so I say, pay your dues. Like, don't try and skip them steps, because them steps that you're trying to skip is what's building you and what's getting you prepared for that moment. And it kind of took me a while to figure out that, because I would feel like, well, why is it taking so long? Or why, like even in school, why am I sitting here for 8 hours a day not making no money, but not knowing that one is doing something for your character, one is doing something for your grind, and I kind of feel like it shows how bad you want it. So I always say, just keep going. Yeah, I would say that to them coming barber.
That's big. What,
That's a good question, because I had this conversation with my best friend about how I don't want to just go. And when I say just go, I mean when my time's up, like that's it. Like maybe out of some self-centered stuff, I don't know, but I want to be remembered for something. So what that is at this point in my life, I want to say I want to be known and remembered for affecting somebody positively. And I bring up like kids and young clients a lot, because I want it to be like Justin always gave me game when I came and sat down. Justin always helped uplift me when I walked out. Justin taught me or showed me how I can attack this goal that I have in mind. Like, so I kind of want to just be known for that. Just being solid, being real, being authentic, and yeah.